Hey everybody, it's Dr. Cara, professional animal communicator, best-selling author, and creator of How to Talk to Your Pet, the proven four-step system that teaches anyone and everyone how to communicate intuitively with their pets or with any animal. And this is another one in my series of animal communication mini lessons. And in this video, I'm going to share with you I don't know how many I have. I think I have 5 different ways to deal with doubt. So one of the most common issues that comes up with people learning how to communicate intuitively with animals is they don't trust what they get, or they just doubt what they're getting. And oh, sorry, I got something in my eye that's itching me. So this video is 5 ways to deal with doubt. It's gonna come up. I know it is. It just does. It does for all of us. If you doubt yourself as an animal communicator, don't worry. You are in excellent and abundant company. This is part of the path, but this is where you got to keep going. You got to move through that, because we all have, and you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to do what you want to be doing in the world as an animal communicator if you don't work through this little bump in the road. So in no particular order, here are my top 5 suggestions for ways to deal with doubt as an animal communicator. So number 1 is to take time to center. So I think a lot of us have this fantasy that we'll just be walking down the street and the birds singing, we'll understand what they're saying, and the dog passing us on the path, we'll say, hi, how you doing, what's new? And we'll have all of these spontaneous conversations with all the animals in our world. And I have to say, I've been a professional animal communicator this is my 11th year as a professional. I've been talking to animals for another year or 2 before that. And it almost never happens that way for me. And when it does, it's awesome. So when it does happen, I love it. And yet it's not my everyday reality. I'm not talking to every cat that I see on the trees as I walk down my street, or that sort of thing. For me, it's more something that I turn on and off. So if, human conversation, I'll hear people, except for when I don't, right? When I'm really lost in thought and I don't hear them. And it's kind of like that. It's kind of like I need to have that radar turned on. I need to have my receivers turned up to receive that. So what I really recommend, especially in the beginning, if you are doubting what you're getting, it really means that your left brain is engaged in the process. It's analyzing, it's watching over, it's criticizing, and it's getting in the way. And that's okay. It's good information. So if you're doubting what you're getting, what that says to me is that you haven't centered yourself before you attempted the animal communication. So the first way to deal with doubt is to slow down and take your time, and make sure that you take time to center yourself. Because when you're centered and grounded and you're in that more right-brained frame of mind, you're just open and curious. You're not questioning, you're not analyzing, you're not evaluating everything that comes to you. You're in the experience of it. And so if you're doubting what you get, you're not fully in the experience. So just go back, start over, and take a little bit of time to center, maybe some deep breaths, and get into that intuitive, receptive kind of place. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 for dealing with doubt is to start keeping an objective record of what goes on in your animal communication sessions. So in my classes, I have my students keep a journal, and they write everything down. They write down the conversations, the questions, the answers, the way they got the information, if they heard it, if they felt it, if they saw it, whatever it was. They keep a log every day of rating their intuition, what they did to boost their intuition, how it went, how intuitive they felt. And they keep a tracking journal of every conversation that they have. And what this does is a couple of things, but for this purposes of this video, what it does is it takes the information that comes during an animal communication session, which can be very subjective, and it makes it objective. And objective information is a lot harder for our inner critic to find fault with. So another way to deal with, if it's a common practice for you to have doubts about what you're getting, is to just start writing it down. Just keep records, just like a scientist. And then it's just like, I got this, 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 and this. I felt this, I saw this, I heard this. I wondered this, I asked this question, whatever it is. But again, once it goes down on paper, it's objective, and then it's less likely to be second guessed or criticized or, doubted. The third recommendation that I have for dealing with doubt is to follow up. So you kind of have to write down what happened to see. But what can happen is that we have our conversation, our animal communication session, and it's all great while it's happening. And then when we're out of that framework, that mindset, that state of mind, then we go back to regular life, and then we go, oh, I must have been making that up. Oh, that can't be real. Oh, that horse didn't really tell me they wanted a new friend, that sort of thing. And so it's kind of when we get our left brain back online, that doubt can creep in afterwards. So it might be afterwards. So I really recommend doing some sort of follow-up. And this is easier if you're doing something with your friends. Because it's just more easy and casual. And the example that I have is when I was getting my master's degree in spiritual psychology, I used to spend the weekend in LA at my friend Deborah's house. And in the morning, I was the first one up, and I would go and talk to her dog. And one day I said, good morning, how you doing? Did you have any dreams last night? And poof, I got this whole thing. She sent me this great picture of all the dreams she had. And I was just learning animal communication at the time. And so I followed up with, okay, well, here we got a connection. So I'm going to ask a question. And I said, what's your favorite food? And in my mind, I saw a picture of a little tuna fish can. So it's like the round, kind of short, same size and shape. And it was definitely a can, and it looked like a can of tuna fish. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I wasn't, I wanted to double check, right? So I don't know if my mind went, no, she doesn't eat tuna or whatever, but later that day I said, hey, what's your dog's favorite kind of food? And she said, oh, she loves these treats, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and she's like, they come in this bag and they're in this pouch and they're like little and brown and round. And I was like, well, what about tuna fish? And she's like, oh no, she's never had tuna fish. So I said, well, has she ever eaten food out of a can that looks like a little round tuna fish can? She's like, oh, she loves that. That's her ID food. And she had this special food for, I think it was something with her kidney or her bladder or urinary tract or something. So she was on this special diet, and it was in this small can that looked to me like a tuna fish can. So in that following up, I got confirmation, but notice how I had to keep asking questions to get the verification. So again, it's just really important to not be too attached to ask those questions, because I could have easily doubted my ability if I said, what's her favorite food? And my friend Deborah said she loves these little soft brown treats. And then I'd be like, oh, I must have gotten it wrong. I'm no good at this. I'll never be good at this. I can't do this, but I kept going and I followed up, and then I got the confirmation, and it took a little detective work to get there. And I had to keep asking questions, and I had to also really recognize that I assumed it was tuna fish, and it wasn't. So it was food that came in the small can. But once we got there, then Deborah really confirmed that, yeah, that she goes crazy for that. And that really was her favorite food. So follow up. Third thing to keep in mind if you are bumping up against doubts. The fourth thing is maybe counterintuitive, but my fourth tip for dealing with doubt is to act as if it's true. So, when my daughter was really little, I would let her choose her clothes. And she had to choose the clothes she wanted because that's what she was going to wear. So I acted as if whatever she said was exactly what she wanted. And very quickly, she learned that she better say what she wants because that's what she's going to wear. So there's this kind of commitment when you act as if. So you're kind of suspending disbelief and you're suspending the doubt and you're saying, well, I'm going to act as if this is true. This horse says that it's their front right shoulder, but the person says they're limping on their back left leg, left foot. So I'm going to act as if the front right shoulder is the issue, and I'm going to pursue that. And maybe that's connected to that back left foot, or maybe the limp is so minor on the front shoulder that the person notices it on the back left foot, right? So acting as if it's accurate will get you there. It's kind of that fake it till you make it. And I don't recommend not doing your due diligence, not doing your best, not having integrity. But especially in the beginning, you just need to get a whole bunch of these sessions under your belt. And the more you can just go, oh, I'm accepting it. I'm going to act as if this is the gospel. This is true. I'm not going to question it. The easier it is to keep going and get more of those sessions. And then you hit kind of this critical point where things, it really starts to take off. But you kind of have to put in a certain number of times to get to that tipping point. So the fifth recommendation, the fifth tip I have is very similar, and it is suspending disbelief. So if you can ground and center yourself, take some time, um, have your log, be ready to write stuff down. Later on, you can do a follow-up. And in the session, you can act as if it's all true. One of the ways that you can also deal with doubt is to suspend disbelief. So when that voice comes up, like, oh, I don't know if that's really true, you'll have a phrase ready, whatever it is. It's like when we're watching a movie, we suspend disbelief. We're involved in what's happening. We know it's on a movie screen. We know it's not real, but we feel really committed to that whole visceral experience of being in the movie, right? And so it's the same thing here. If you can create a phrase that really says, I'm not going to question things till after, or I hear you doubt and we'll talk later, or something like that, then you're going to kind of get over that hump and just say, okay, suspending disbelief can also look like, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I'm just going to everything that I get. And it may not make sense in the moment, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It never has to make sense. I'm just practicing, right? So just practicing can be a great approach to get rid of that doubt, because the doubt generally comes when we're trying to get it right, when we are attached to the outcome, and when we are in this habit of analyze everything in the moment. And with our intuition, in order for it to flow, we really need to be in that place where we're not analyzing, we're not evaluating, we're just staying in the experience. So suspending disbelief is really saying, this may or may not be true, but that's not my problem right now. So, if that makes sense. So those are kind of my top five ways of dealing with doubt. So if you're bumping up against doubt repeatedly and regularly, the first thing I think you should do is take some time to ground and center yourself. And the next thing I think you should do is just get a spiraling notebook and just start jotting everything down. Write it all down as if you're a scientist studying animal communication and animal communicators, and you want to know everything that they do. And let it go. Just let it go through you. That's going to help that process, because I think to be in the zone is to be a channel. and to just let it all flow through you. So whatever one of these techniques works for you, or a combination of them, whatever allows you to stay in the moment, to stay in the experience, to not engage that evaluating, criticizing left brain, ego part of your brain, but to really stay in that open, curious, connected right brain experience is going to be what's going to help you. And I just thought of one more. So the sixth one is to have a goal of doing a certain number of sessions. So I'm going to do one session a day for a month, and then I'll evaluate how good I am. I'm not going to evaluate until after, or I'm going to do one session a week or something like that. Because I think in the beginning, it's more important to just go through the motions a whole bunch of times rather than worry about getting the information right or being accurate or anything like that. And I say this in my classes all the time, and I think my students kind of hate me for it, but I'm like, I don't care if you got it right. And they're like, but I care, verify it for me. And I don't want to verify it, because you're not at the point where you need to verify it. When you're a beginning animal communicator, you just need to go do it a whole bunch. And the natural process of learning, the natural process of heightening your awareness, fine-tuning your abilities, it's going to happen, but it's going to happen from repetition and the sheer number of times that you do it, as much as it is from trying to get it right. Of course, try to be accurate, do your best, ask follow-up questions, monitor all your senses, all of that. But don't undermine yourself by having to get it right all the time and have it all be perfect and right and everything. So if you are dealing with doubt, then there's probably something in there that is not letting you just be a beginner and try things and fail, and just know that it's okay, and get up and do it again anyways, right? So we don't want the doubt to stop you. We want to quiet the doubt so that you keep going. So you pass your point, your tipping point, where you just naturally start to get better and better and better at this. The world needs you, the animals needs you. And I hope this helps you if you're dealing with any doubt. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried anything else that has been helpful. And if you try any of these tips that I've suggested, let me know how they work. I really want to hear back from you. So good luck. Go talk to animals. The world needs you. The animals need you. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye, everybody.